Let's talk about Bill Cooper, William Cooper, and his book, Behold a Pale Horse, which I have read numerous times, which I have just page after page of highlighted notes in as I have picked apart this just load of garbage here. And there's one thing that I get the most hate mail about and the most trolls on my YouTube channel for. It's my comments on saying Bill Cooper was a fraud and a nutcase. So what I'm going to do is I am going to read for you my 10-page analysis of Bill Cooper and his book here, which you can obviously see I've read and highlighted just dozens of quotes in here. And instead of just doing a video talking about Bill Cooper, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just read for you my 10-page analysis of him from my book, The Illuminati, Facts and Fiction. Because I don't want to miss any points, because there's just so many points that I want to make about him. So just sit back. It's story time from The Illuminati, Facts and Fiction by yours truly. And sit back and relax and just listen to this 10-page analysis of Bill Cooper. Milton William Cooper, known as William or Bill Cooper, was an author and a radio host who discussed the Illuminati, the New World Order, and UFOs. He claimed that he had a top-secret Q security clearance, sensitive, compartmentalized information with access on an authorized, strict need-to-know basis. That's on page 26 of his book. While supposedly working for naval intelligence, he claimed to have seen classified documents regarding the JFK assassination, UFOs, and the New World Order. Cooper was shot and killed on November 5, 2001 by a sheriff who was serving an arrest warrant at his Arizona home after Cooper allegedly tried to resist arrest and shot a police officer in the head. He was 58 years old. Police and neighbors say Cooper had threatened a man with a gun for trespassing on his property, and a warrant was issued for his arrest. The circumstances surrounding his death remain the topic of debate and will be discussed at the end of this section. Many of Cooper's fans believe he was assassinated to stop him from continuing to discuss information he claimed to have learned while in the Navy. William Cooper is best known for his 1991 book, Behold a Pale Horse, which discusses various aspects of the New World Order and contains his many claims to have seen government classified documents while in the Navy. The book title is from the Bible's Book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 8, and I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. In the foreword to Behold a Pale Horse, Cooper recounts in his time in the Navy and begins by explaining that he and his fellow shipmates had seen several UFOs rise up from the ocean and disappear into the clouds. He insists that the Navy's sonar had also detected these objects. He explains that a superior officer made him sign an agreement that he was not to discuss the event with anyone, including other witnesses. Throughout his book are included various photos of Cooper in uniform and on a patrol boat to show that he actually was in the Navy. He even includes his service record in the back in an attempt to give credibility to his claims, although these documents make no reference to him having top-secret security clearance. Cooper explains that when he was registering for the Navy, a questionnaire asked the applicant if they had been a member of any fraternal organizations, and he decided to circle the De Molloy Society, since he says he was a member as a child. That's on page 26 of his book. The De Molloy Society is basically a branch of Freemasonry for children of Masons. He says that this selection made him a candidate to become promoted to the inner circle of Navy intelligence, since all people in that division were involved in Freemasonry. At this point, he claims to have been given another security clearance in the crypto category and served as a designated SpecCat operator. It was then that he writes that he learned the Office of Naval Intelligence had participated in the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, and that the Secret Service agent driving the limo had shot Kennedy in the head. That's on page 27 of his book. This odd theory isn't even considered credible by the least objective JFK assassination conspiracy theorists, and such an idea ignores the fact that nobody reported hearing gunshots from a limo or seeing the driver with a gun, which was just a few feet from the crowd. Throughout his book, he continues to make repeated references to the, quote, top secret documents he saw when working in the Navy and how they pertain to the New World Order. I will continue to list his far-fetched claims in a minute, but first it must be said that it's extremely suspicious that Cooper casually mentions, quote, top secret documents he had seen, as if they were just laying out on someone's desk and he happened to spot them and had a chance to actually read through them. There are millions and millions of pages of classified material which fill countless filing cabinets which are extremely difficult to access. Yet Cooper claims he simply, quote, came across various documents which discuss material referencing the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, and the New World Order. In his book, he published a text allegedly from a document titled Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, which he says was a top-secret document that was discovered on July 7, 1986 in a photocopier that had been purchased at a military surplus sale, suggesting someone in the military had accidentally left the original in the machine after making photocopies. The document, this quote document, contains information supposedly on how the government can control the world's resources, finances, and information in order to further their goals of constructing the New World Order. It reads like a poorly written hoax. In the document, in the text of this supposed top-secret document obtained by Cooper, it continuously references the, quote, elite and their diabolical plans. It also mentions the Bilderberg Group, the Rothschilds' control of the banking system. The whole thing reads like a pathetic regurgitation of the protocols of the Elders of Zion. Cooper also reported that to mark the year 2000, the Illuminati would use the Galileo spacecraft to detonate 49.7 pounds of plutonium as it reached the planet Jupiter, which would cause a nuclear reaction, turning the planet into another sun. He said that this new star would be called Lucifer and would be cited as a miracle or a sign that the Antichrist was a god and the Messiah had appeared. This, all according to the top-secret documents he claimed to have read in the Navy concerning Project Galileo. That's on page 72 of his book. Cooper's book was published in 1991, giving him a full 9 years to make such claims and collect the profits from his sales. He added that the spear of destiny, which is said to be the spear that was used to pierce the side of Jesus as he hung on the cross, and other ancient relics believed to be lost to history, would be united to give the world leader supernatural powers. That's on page 75. When describing the various secret societies that are involved in creating the New World Order, Cooper included the Skull and Bones Society at Yale University and the Scroll and Key Society, but incorrectly stated that Scroll and Key was a secret society at Harvard, when in reality it is also at Yale in Connecticut, the same residence as Skull and Bones. 8 years before Cooper had published Behold a Pale Horse, Anthony Sutton had released America's Secret Establishment, which exposed for the first time the activities of the Skull and Bones Society. Cooper was well aware of this book and included it in the reference page, so any idea that he learned of Skull and Bones while working in the naval intelligence can be easily dismissed. Cooper states, quote, top secret documents that I read while in naval intelligence stated that President Eisenhower had commissioned the Jason Society to examine all evidence, facts, likes, and deception and find the truth of the alien question. Well, it's not mentioned in regards to the New World Order. The Jasons, or the Jason Society, is a secret group of scientists and scholars who consult with the Department of Defense. Their existence was exposed during the Vietnam War and was well known to all of the anti-war activists. So Cooper didn't need to find a, quote, top secret document to learn about this group, and only needed to read the newspapers in the late 1960s and early 70s when their activities were being discussed in the press. Cooper also writes about the alleged Majestic 12, also called Majesty 12, a group some believe is a scientific branch within the military that deals with aliens. Again, Cooper claims that this information was discovered from secret documents that he just happened to find. He wrote, quote, I read top-secret documents while in naval intelligence that stated President Eisenhower had appointed 6 of the executive committees of the Council on Foreign Relations to sit on a panel called Majesty 12, also known as Majority 12, for security reasons. Majesty 12 is the secret group that is supposed to control extraterrestrial information and projects. Ideas surrounding Majestic 12 had been circulating in UFO circles since 1984, actually, and was not a new, quote, discovery by Cooper from, quote, top secret documents. Most in the UFO community did not take Cooper seriously and he found the majority of support from patriots and those against the New World Order. Perhaps the most laughable and far-fetched claim that can be added to this list is when he writes, quote, I read while in naval intelligence that at least once a year, maybe more, 2 nuclear submarines meet beneath the polar ice cap and mate together at airlock. Representatives of the Soviet Union meet with the policy committee of the Bilderberg Group, where the Russians are given the script for the next performance. This method of meeting is the only way that is safe from detection or bugging. Now, that's on page 94. So he writes that the Bilderberg Group, the only place that they meet is in a submarine underneath the polar ice cap. And if you don't want to take my word for that, if you don't have the book, here's a clip of him saying this in one of his lectures.
The headquarters of the international conspiracy is in Geneva, Switzerland. The ruling body is made up of representatives of the governments involved as well as the executive members of the group known as the Bilderbergers. Meetings are held by the policy committee when necessary on a nuclear submarine beneath the polar ice cap. The secrecy is such that this was the only method which could ensure that the meetings could not be bugged and is the only place where they discuss their most secret matters. The headquarters of the international conspiracy is in Geneva, Switzerland. The ruling body is made up of representatives of the governments involved as well as the executive members of the group known as the Bilderbergers. Meetings are held by the policy committee when necessary on a nuclear submarine beneath the polar ice cap. The secrecy is such that this was the only method which could ensure that the meetings could not be bugged and is the only place where they discuss their most secret matters.
According to Cooper, there's no secret room in the Pentagon that's safe from being bugged or anywhere else on the planet, so the Bilderberg Group must meet in a submarine beneath the polar ice cap. Aside from numerous fabrications and obvious false claims in his writings, you will find occasional paranoid rantings, including one where he writes using all capital letters, quote, Patriots must not be at home on any national holiday during the day or night ever again. Disregard this warning and you will find yourself in a concentration camp. Yeah, that's right. So no more family barbecues on the 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day weekend. You must never be home on those holidays because those are the holidays that the people are going to come and round you up and take you to a concentration camp. Sounds pretty delusional to me. Cooper claimed that he possessed photographs of a secret base on the moon and the crater Copernicus. Also in Behold a Pale Horse, he includes photos of what he said were UFOs and diagrams of photos of what he called alien reproduction vehicles. When looking for a motive for his outlandish claims, one needs only look at the words of Mr. Cooper himself. In the foreword to his book, he describes that after he was discharged from the Navy, that, quote, we were broke and homeless at that point. That's on page 33 of his book. So he was broke and homeless. He tried to make money by selling audio tapes of his lectures, which apparently wasn't making him any money. So he would later write and publish Behold a Pale Horse in 1991. Also, by Cooper's own admission, he had fabricated documents and information concerning UFOs and the New World Order and posted them on a BBS network called Paranet, Paranormal Network. Bulletin board systems, BBSs, were a precursor to the internet and allowed people to access another person's hard drive directly by using a modem. He fully admits that he fabricated information and posted it, but claimed the only reason he did it was to throw the government off his trail by making them think that he was, quote, a kook who didn't know anything. Yes, that's on page 28. Yes, just fabricating documents. And so yeah, that's a great idea, to fabricate documents so that the government thinks he's a kook and doesn't know anything. Really, after the documents were proven to be false, and then he had to admit that he fabricated them. Cooper was exposed, and the information he had posted was proven false, and so it makes sense that he mentioned this in his book as a way to try to explain why it was that he had been shown that he had spread fraudulent information in the past and been caught. The SISOP System Administration for Paranet, Michael Corbin, had this to say about Cooper. First, I don't want to get into any protracted discussions about Bill Cooper. All I can say is that we, Paranet, had a great deal of experience with Bill Cooper up to and including ejecting him from the net for causing a variety of disruptions, not to mention strong attacks on other members of the net that were counterproductive to intelligent discussion. Our organization had investigated Cooper to the max and find no truth in anything he says except that he was in the Navy, but not in the capacity he claims. The bottom line is that Bill Cooper just doesn't hold any water, so anything he says should be taken with a large block of salt and a tongue planted firmly in cheek. Cooper had exposed nothing new in his book and lectures, and the information he claims to have read from top secret documents was nothing but the retelling of publicly known information that had been talked about in anti-New World Order circles for decades. Actually, there is one exception in regards to no new information being published by Cooper, and that was in the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars document, which he claimed to obtain from an old copier. This, quote, document is rarely cited as evidence by people researching the New World Order, and its authenticity is doubted by many. He says it was given to him by a man named Tom Young, and Cooper himself had, quote, read top secret documents which explained Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars is the doctrine adopted by the policy committee of the Bilderberg Group during its first known meeting in 1954. So, yeah, he just happened to see yet another top secret document, the same document that later somebody found and then gave him a copy of. And if you read this document, it's just a joke. It's just a complete joke written on an 8th grade level. Well, no researcher is going to be 100% accurate with the information they compile or the conclusions they draw from it. The repeated inconsistencies in Cooper's book and his claims to have, quote, seen top secret documents about various issues which were already public knowledge, combined with his own admission that he had written and published fraudulent information in the past, clearly prove that Cooper is an unreliable source and a financially troubled hoaxer who was cashing in by mixing fact with fiction and presenting himself as a first-hand witness. There are a number of people who continue to believe that William Cooper is a heroic man who exposed the New World Order and was murdered to silence him. Many of these people perhaps have only read parts of Cooper's book and haven't seen the extent of the ridiculousness of his claims. Others who are aware of his wild tales and actually believe them prove their inability to discern facts from fiction. The actual events surrounding Cooper's death remain the topic of debate and speculation amongst his fans. On November 5, 2001, sheriff deputies lured Cooper from his home in rural Eager, Arizona at approximately 11 p.m. by posing as ordinary citizens playing loud music in their vehicle on or near his property, causing them to come out and investigate. A warrant had been issued for his arrest for allegedly threatening a man named Dr. Scott Hamblin with a handgun for either trespassing or loitering on or near his land. Police claim that when they tried to apprehend Cooper, he pulled out a handgun and shot one deputy, resulting in another officer shooting and killing Cooper. People who knew Cooper personally have said that anyone who attempted to approach his home would be confronted at gunpoint. And over the last few years of his life, he was growing increasingly paranoid and unstable. They also state that Cooper himself had said that he would never be taken alive after he failed to appear in court for charges that he refused to pay income taxes. Cooper's neighbor and friend Glenn Jacobs was the editor of a small local paper called the Round Valley Paper and wrote, quote, "Local police with a warrant for a couple of aggravated assault warrants, Bill was certainly guilty, went up in force to Cooper's house, letting on to be teenagers drinking and partying with the radio turned up loud. Bill came out of his house and drove over them and demanded they get off his mountain. 2 officers jumped Bill in his car. Bill backed it up, shoved one officer out, and shot the other one twice in the head with his .45, but did not inflict any life-threatening wounds. Bill ran towards his house, whereupon the entire contingent gave Bill what he had been asking for, his martyrdom. This was not a federal ninja action nor a rogue cop riot. Bill had gone over to Dr. Scott Hamblin's house and waved a gun in his face and seems to have done the same to another person as well. The officers wisely went prepared, as Bill had broadcast hundreds of times that he would not surrender and would kill anyone who came after him." That was written, again, by his neighbor and friend. Okay? Despite Glenn Jacobs and others in the Eager, Arizona community who were friends with Cooper and against the New World Order, saying that Cooper had lost it and opened a fire on the police first, many of Cooper's fans believe he was purposely murdered because he talked about 9/11 and the New World Order. So many of his personal friends, not people on the internet, personal friends who supported what he did, were against the New World Order, say that he was a loose cannon, that he wasn't assassinated, that he opened fire first, that this was not some assassination attempt. The Associated Press published an article the day after his death, labeling Cooper a national leader of the militia movement, and tried to tie him to Timothy McVeigh, saying, quote, "Timothy McVeigh, who was executed in May for the bombing of the federal building in Oklahoma, listened to Cooper's broadcast for inspiration, according to the testimony by James Nichols, brother of Oklahoma City bombing co-defendant Terry Nichols during the 1996 pretrial hearing. While Cooper's death is a tragedy, and it's slanderous to tie him to Timothy McVeigh, and many of the other issues he discussed on his radio show and his book are true, it is inexcusable that he fabricated tales of seeing top-secret documents in an attempt to add credibility to his story to sell more books. His numerous claims to have personally seen top-secret documents on a variety of issues and present himself as a whistleblower casts a large, dark cloud of doubt over his memory and his body of work, since it leads people unfamiliar with such material to believe that some fictions are fact. Criticizing Cooper is a sensitive issue because he is viewed as a martyr by many of his fans who are offended by anyone voicing doubts about his claims or credentials and continue to believe that he was assassinated, despite all the evidence to the contrary. Now, that was 10 pages of me talking with footnotes and everything, and now I just wanted to cover everything. I'm going to link up the article in the information box here on the YouTube video, so in case you didn't want to sit here listening to me, you can go and read it for yourself. You can see his quotes, and just go and listen to this video again. I don't even have time to just go over the same points again and again and again. He admitted to writing fake documents. He just, said, "Oh, I just found these documents." He just happened to come across these documents about JFK's assassination, about the New World Order, about the Rothschilds, about the Bilderberg Group, because I'm sure they just happened to be laying on someone's desk. I'm sure that in the Navy he just had the authority to go in the filing cabinets and find them, because those weren't in some filing cabinet in another city. I'm sure that they just happened to be right where he was, right? So, I'm sure a lot of the stuff, a lot of stuff that Bill Cooper talked about was legitimate, but I just can't see using him as a credible source when he says the Bilderberg Group meets in a submarine and all this garbage. There's so much other stuff. I just don't even have time to get into it. So, there's 10 pages of an analysis. So you can go ahead and make 1, 2, 3 sentence comments about how Mark Dice is a fraud. Oh, Mark Dice works for the Jews, works for the Catholics. Yeah, your 3 sentences of claims have 0 evidence to back them up at all. So there I have 10 pages of evidence with footnotes from my own book that I've read of Bill Cooper's, just showing that he was a loose cannon according to his own friends and neighbors. So that's pretty much all I have to say on that subject.